The Springboks hard at work at their first training session in Edinburgh ahead of the test match against Scotland at Murrayfield on Sunday. And Shim, before this tour even began, there was plenty of talking points because the squad that was originally named lost a few members and the replacements raised a few eyebrows. Let's look at the first one, which was the withdrawal of young Hendrik Wessels, who was obviously looking to cover that third hooker position, replaced by both Johan Grobbelaar and Wilco Louw.
Look, I think that makes sense because Wessels can cover all three. You know, he can cover the whole front row. As soon as he went down, now you need a specialist. You need to go back to your specialist options, Wilco Louw on the tight end side, and obviously Grobbelaar at the hooker position. You remember, Thomas Tutu can swing both sides, so he covers tight head and loose head, so he had enough cover there. And if need be, Oxenchair can possibly cover tight head if he gets enough reps at practice. So you just had to go back to the specialist position. So it was pretty clear and obvious. And also those two players that have been called and have been on form for the Bulls.
Well, then things got really interesting. I think Springbok fans were delighted to see Damian Willemse back and playing again after a long period on the sideline. But then he picked up a groin injury playing for the Stormers in the URC. And he was replaced by Cameron Hanekom.
Yeah, that we did. I didn't see that coming. Look, I suppose you look at a guy like who else would have come in instead of Damian Willemse to have that utility role, to have sort of the experience of a Damian Willemse and that quality player. There's not many names that pop up. So instead of there, you actually just went to a guy that was playing on form, and that's Cameron Hanekom. A loose forward. Chances are he would have been in the selection discussion. BJ Dixon went down. Obviously, the last Stormers game against Glasgow. So you look at Willemse and you look at what other options, which players similar to him in South Africa. No one really. So they said, okay, leave that out and bring Hanekom in, who's been on form for the Bulls. And it also adds a new dynamic because he is very similar to Kwaka in terms of the positions he can cover. Obviously, more of a line-out option than Kwaka, can cover 7 more than Kwaka can. But a natural sort of selection in terms of looking at, when Kwaka or Kwaka doesn't play, who's next in line? And I think we found a Cameron Hanekom.
Yeah, and Damian Willemse offers you that versatility, but looking across the backline resources on this tour, Andre Esterhuizen and Damian Delendi at 12, Lucanio and Jesse Creel at 13, with Kane and Moody there as well, and then Willie Leroux and Apalele Fassi at the back. But I think the next one was the one that raised more eyebrows than any other because Frans Malherbe had to withdraw. I saw something on social media, Shim, that said Rassie might replace him with a leg spinner, which raised a laugh. But to see Jordan Hendrikse then be added to the squad with the withdrawal of Frans Malherbe.
Yeah, look, I mean, that if you looked at, so you look at it the other way around, if there was a replacement for Willemse, it's Jordan Hendrikse. But look, it's also, I think they've just looked at the guys that have been on form. Who's next in form, regardless of backline or forward position? Let's bring him in. I think what we are blessed with is a lot of versatility. You've seen Cheslin cover, flip. I mean, I think even throwing at hooker at some positions, cover fullback, cover wing. So Kane and Moody can cover outside centre wing. So Jordan Hendrikse, for me, I've actually liked him at 12. When he's played there, obviously didn't have the best performance in his first test match, but I think he's one for the future. They'll look at him there, stay in within the environment, learn from it. So if there is another injury to a Willemse or a Mani Lebok or Pollard, he'd possibly get into the mix.
And the other point to make is it is a big squad for a 3-match tour, but that gives the coaching staff a great opportunity to work with the various resources that they've given an opportunity to this year.
Yeah, look, I think one thing with this year, we've built depth. Even people talk about having 1, 2, 3 very good teams, and that's it. So within a winning environment, you can bring players in, they can pick up they feel safe in that environment and so on, and it sort of releases the pressure off those players. So the new caps that were selected have sort of delivered. I'm excited to see a guy like Cameron Hanekom, how he's done. He's looked the part since he started playing for the Bulls, so it's going to be exciting. I think Thomas Tutu is short a trot, also obviously an extended run in the Springbok jersey. So it's going to be good to see after what he's done for Bath, what he's going to do in the Springbok jersey. So it's an exciting tour. The next thing is we've got to try guest selection. I know we generally get that wrong also, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, the Springbok team to face Scotland only going to be announced on Thursday, but Rassie Erasmus said after the success of the Rugby Championship, he made the point that in this international season, over the July Test matches and the Rugby Championship, over 49 players were given a cap during the course of this international season. So an abundance of talent to choose from, and we await that selection with great interest.